Teachers need to consider many aspects of behavior and classroom management when they are developing and implementing classroom management plans. In addition to rules, consequences, and rewards, teachers need to understand developmental theories to understand the basics of behavior management and consider the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse students. Teachers need to examine their own perceptions and assumptions that might affect their development of effective behavior management programs. Two big theories in applied behavior analysis are classical and operant conditioning. Understanding the development of children and adolescents affects the interpretation of childhood and how children are treated. Classical conditioning involves a repeated pairing of a neutral stimulus with an unconditioned stimulus to produce a conditioned response. John B. Watson viewed conditioning as the basis for most human learning. He advocated the measurement of observable behavior and reactions and the exclusion of the emotional mental states of individuals. Operant conditioning is a method of learning in which the probability that an individual's behavior will increase or decrease is manipulated through the use of reinforcements that are pleasurable or not pleasurable. B.F. Skinner believed that any relationship between an individual and the environment must include the event that elicits the behavior itself, and a consequence that reinforces the behavior. When developing behavior and classroom management plans, teachers must take into account a number of considerations. A universal design for classroom management considers the needs of students with disabilities, ethnically and linguistically diverse students, struggling learners, and students of all ability levels, and then develops a behavior and classroom management plan that can meet the academic, behavioral, emotional, and social needs of each student. With the increasing numbers of culturally and linguistically diverse children entering today's classrooms, it is important that teachers have some understanding of their students' cultures and how these affect the students' behaviors. To be culturally responsive in their behavior and classroom management, teachers must adhere to 5 principles. The first is to recognize their own ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is generally defined as the evaluation of the cultures of other groups from the perspective of one's own cultural experiences, but this description is too simple for such a multifaceted concept. Many European American teachers are unaware of their own cultural identity and how their culture affects others. It is important to remember that treating students equitably is not the same as treating them equally. In treating students equitably, the teacher provides what is necessary for each student to succeed in school. The second principle is to gain knowledge of their students' cultures. In using culturally responsive practices in behavior and classroom management, teachers need to understand the cultural backgrounds of their students. Teachers should understand the cultures in terms of individualism versus collectivism. The individualist culture emphasizes the need of the individual, independence, and individual initiative and accomplishment. Collectivist cultures stress group consciousness, group identity, and the needs of the group. In a collectivist culture, the individual's sense of self is understood in relationship to others within the community. Thirdly, be aware of the broader social, economic, and political context in education. European American culture also contributes to the perpetuation of discriminatory practices toward diverse students. Instead of examining how their own cultural beliefs affect the way they view students, teachers attribute students' inappropriate behaviors and academic failures to the students' home lives, and the students' parents, who the teachers believe do not value education. The fourth principle addresses using culturally appropriate management strategies. Teachers need to reflect on their own ethnocentrism, how their cultural biases affect how they respond to diverse students, and how institutional cultures may create barriers for diverse students. Teachers also need to reflect on whether their behavior and classroom management strategies are in conflict with the cultural backgrounds of their students, and if they are, they should take steps to change the strategies. Finally, develop caring classroom communities. Caring about students is one of the prevalent characteristics of highly effective teachers. These teachers are described as warm, friendly, and caring. Caring communities enhance the quality of teacher-student relationships, increase student learning outcomes, and improve classroom behavior. Gross ethical misconduct spawns a professional crisis in behavior analysis in 1972 in Florida. At Sunland, Miami, it appeared that clients with developmental disabilities had been routinely subjected to abusive behavior modification procedures for over a year. The person directly responsible, Dr. E, claimed professional expertise in behavior modification. He alleged the behavior modification procedures used were legitimate and that they were warranted by the circumstances. These procedures were punitive, belittling, and abusive. If a procedure did not work, the staff would apply a slightly more extreme form of punishment. When the vile situations these clients were subjected to came to light, a blue ribbon panel was set up to determine what went wrong and what should be done about it. This blue ribbon panel recommended that the Human Rights Committee be set up at the local and state levels, peer review committees be set up at the local and state levels, guidelines be developed that would guarantee the safe, humane, and effective use of behavioral procedures, and regulation of behavior and analysts be undertaken. Kucher and Keith Spiegel proposed professional standards in psychology which are clearly appropriate for behavior analysts. First, do no harm. If you benefit those you work with, potential for damage is eliminated. Recommend a behavior program that will benefit the person, not the staff, other residents, or even the family. Respect autonomy. Working for greater independence is a part of the value system for applied behavior analysis. Make sure that the benefit to the client is your central focus, though your program should in turn benefit others, such as the teacher, family, and community. Be just. Apply fair and equitable treatment. How would you like to be treated? How would you want your children to be treated? Be faithful. Your goal is to be sincere, candid, and truthful. Remain objective in your data collection and interpretation. Accord dignity. Our clients and students are worthy of respect. Don't talk down to them and protect the quality of their living and educational conditions. You should stress their personal freedoms, including free speech, access to friends of their choosing, and access to the community. Treat others with caring and compassion. Your interpersonal behaviors are important. Use your client's or student's name and make eye contact. Be a sympathetic listener and show empathy. Seek their involvement in decisions that are made. However, make sure you draw boundaries with your clients. Advocacy is one thing, but friendship is another. Pursue excellence and maintain high standards at all times. What would you do if your supervisor was watching? Be a lifelong learner by reading academic journals and attending conferences. Present yourself and your field in such a way that exhibits excellence. Finally, accept responsibility. Respond to data in making decisions. Be thorough. Eliminate your biases and don't assume you know everything. No one can be an expert in everything. It's okay to seek input. If you're wrong, admit it quickly. Learn from the experience. Recognize others who are right and move on. It doesn't do to dwell on the past. You can't change it. Some cases may be ethically difficult. Situations that can make a case ethically difficult are a complicated violation of the Code of Ethics, a violation of client rights, a high probability of harm to a client or others, multiple steps to a solution that involves other parties and you have little influence, a serious conflict with an employer or colleagues, the risk of being fired or sued, and legal issues. Therefore, as a behavior analyst, you must ask yourself some difficult questions. Will your action prevent harm? Will your action protect your client's rights? Are you prepared for backlash or retribution? Do you have the time to devote to the solution? Can you muster the political will to reach a solution? Do you have liability insurance in case you are sued? Are you prepared to hire an attorney? Are you prepared to quit? Ethical situations vary in complexity. As such, they also vary in the level of training and support needed to address the situation. Level 1 deals with a minor violation of ethics code and our client rights and can be resolved by a BCABA. There is no physical or psychological harm and it is within the certificant's authority to resolve. At Level 2, there is a moderate violation of ethics code and or rights and can be resolved by a BCBA. There is some probability of harm and is within the behavior analyst authority to resolve. Level 3 involves a serious violation of ethics codes and/or violation of clients' rights and should be addressed by a BCBA with at least 2 years' experience. There's an increased probability of harm and a likely violation of rights. It is in the behavior analyst authority to resolve a Level 3 violation with cooperation and assistance from others. Level 4 involves a serious violation of ethics code and/or a violation of clients' rights with a high probability of harm. It is not in the behavior analyst authority to resolve this alone and is recommended that a BCBA with at least 3 years' experience assist in the resolution of this type of violation. At Level 5, a serious violation of ethics code and/or serious violation of clients' rights has occurred. There is a high probability of harm and some risk that the behavior analyst involved in the case can be fired. It is not in a behavior analyst authority to resolve this on their own, and a BCBA-D is recommended at this level. At Level 6, there is a serious violation of ethics and/or clients' rights, and a significant physical or psychological harm is imminent. It is not in the behavior analyst authority to resolve the situation, and a multiple-step solution is required. Interagency or inter-office politics and/or legal issues are involved at this level, and behavior analyst is at risk of being fired if action is taken. An expert BCBA-D with at least 5 years supervisory experience plus experience on human rights committees or similar should be involved in these situations. Based on the principles of developmental theories, culturally responsive classroom management, and systems-based and principle-centered approaches, 3 basic goals of behavior and classroom management emerge. Provide a safe and positive environment that recognizes and respects diversity, in which students are treated equitably and learning can take place. Provide opportunities for students to learn reasonable rules and consequences, as well as the reasons for them. Teach students to manage their own behaviors while providing opportunities for them to learn social skills. The most important goal of behavior and classroom management is to provide students with a safe and positive environment in which learning can take place.